My name is Antoinette Cook. It's spelled K-O-C-H. It's not Koch. It's not Coach. And I dare not say stuff that I've heard before. It's just Cook. It's actually German. Does anyone want to take a guess what it means in German? You guessed it. Cook. I have been married since 2010 to my husband, Jeremy. He couldn't be here today because he's in prison. I'm not saying that, but he does prison ministry, and that is very important to me. Well, we've been married almost 13 years in August. We have 2 children. My son, Jalen, go ahead and change. My son, Jalen, is 20 years old. He's in the United States Navy. He's in Virginia. Thank y'all. And my daughter, Sophia, is 11. She is right there. My broke bestie. They're supporting me always. Well, I work for the Postal Service. I've been doing that almost 22 years in September. I'm also an invoicing clerk at TNT Academy. I also have 2 businesses. One's named Crafty Cook. There's a good story behind that one. And then my other one is TNT, Tumble and Trampoline and Page. Our family, we run a gym business. We do power tumbling, trampoline, we have a competition team, but we work together as a family. Working hard has been in my blood. It's in my DNA. Ever since I watched my parents work hard, I knew that if I wanted anything in life, then I'd have to work hard for it. Go ahead, Casey. And that I would never have anything handed to me. So, not afraid of hard work. Let's get into my story, huh? July 14th, 1981, I was born in El Paso, Texas, Fort Bliss, military brat. My father was in the Army. Being a military brat had perks and disadvantages. Over the years, I would have different experiences, but I loved being a military brat. But I couldn't tell you much about Fort Bliss because I don't really remember it, and the things that I do remember, I'm not very fond of. When I was around 3 years old, I was violated by a family member. And I didn't say anything because they said, don't say nothing. Being young and naive, only 3, you're scared. You don't say anything, you don't speak up. It wouldn't be until I was much older that I would, going through my healing process of it, I kept saying, why didn't you say something? Why didn't you speak to your mom? Why didn't you say something to your dad? Why didn't you say something to your grandparents about that? But it would be the story of my life as I continued. I always had a hard time speaking up, saying things that didn't feel good, saying when I didn't appreciate something. Speaking up was always hard for me. But it is what it is. Go ahead, Casey. 1984, we moved to Mannheim, Germany. That's the perks of being a military brat. I got to live in another country. If you've never been, it's amazing. Things I got to do. How many people can say they grew up in Germany? How many of y'all grew up in Germany? Raise your hand. Demetrius, Antonio, your hand should have went up. But what I love most about Germany is that I was clear across the ocean, away from the person that made me feel uncomfortable. I felt safe, you know? I felt good. Go ahead, Casey. In 1986, our family of 4 became a family of 5. There's my brother John right there, my brother Demetrius in my mom's lap, and that's me. I'm going to tell you a story about this little girl. One morning, my parents were in the bathroom getting ready, and my mom sat me on the couch. That couch right there, with my brother. She put something on the TV. It was either Rainbow Bright, My Little Pony, or The Last Dragon. Because this was the 80s and I was heavy on Bruce Leroy catching bullets with his teeth. If you know, you know. But I'm sitting there watching my show, and all of a sudden I hear laughter in the bathroom. Laughter? What's funny? I'm going to go see what's funny. I go to the bathroom to see what's funny, and all of a sudden we hear a thump, a bump. We all go to the living room, and we see that my baby brother managed to roll off the couch, hit his head on the coffee table, then he fell to the floor. I carried that weight for a long time. Always telling myself, why did you get up? If you didn't get up, he would be okay. Why didn't you just stay there? Now he's in ICU. Now your whole family, their life is shook up. All you had to do was just sit there. That weight held me down for so many years. It wasn't until I was much older that I got to a place where I was able to forgive myself. And God forgave me. But the most beautiful part about it all is that looking back, I see that God was there. Because my brother should have been brain dead. He shouldn't have been able to talk. But he's sitting right there today, here supporting me. Yes. Yes. He's an amazing man, amazing father, hard worker. I love my brother. Go ahead, Casey. In fact, I love all my brothers because the very next year, 1987, my mom and my daddy had 2 twin boys, Antoine and Antonia. Our family was now a family of 7. And I was the only girl, second oldest, 4 brothers. And people wonder why I'm so tough, why I'm so strong and rough around the edges. It's how I've been my whole life. Military life would take us in 1988 back to Texas. And from 1988 to 1992, we stayed at Fort Hood. But in 1992, we got to go back to Germany again. But this time we went to Landstuhl, Germany. I loved it. My older brother said, I ain't going this time. Because my 3 brothers were bad. He said, I must stay. So from 12 to 18, the responsibility of me helping take care of my brothers was on me. At 12, I was cooking dinner, washing clothes, making sure the house was clean, making sure that they did their schoolwork. I did laundry, made sure they put up their clothes and set up their clothes so the next morning things would go smoothly. And anytime that they did something on my watch and I got in trouble for it, when my mom and daddy left, I tore their butt up. I wasn't playing. My life revolved around my brothers. It revolved around my brothers. But it wasn't until I was about 14, 15 that I said, go ahead, Casey, I want to do something for me. I've been doing everything for them. So at 15, I started sports. I want to tell y'all that it's never too late to start. I may not have been where people were who started years earlier, but where God has you and your calling and your race, that's where you're supposed to be. So at 15 years old, I started doing sports. I joined the youth league. And that coach right there, he saw something in me. He spoke so much confidence into me. He said I played aggressive. He said I reminded him of Dennis Rodman. I took all that energy. I went and tried out for the high school team, and I made the JV team. That's the Ramside Royals, y'all. I actually scored 10 points one game. Yeah. But you know, military life, one thing you should never do, don't get comfortable. Because life was good. I finally started making a name for myself, started doing stuff, getting involved in school. 1998 comes, my dad retires from the military. It's March. This is like March of my junior year, so I had literally one more semester of my junior year to finish it. We had to move from Germany to Austin, Texas. I was so hurt because I ended up at a school, people didn't know me. I was just the girl from Germany. And they also thought I spoke good English coming from Germany. They didn't know we lived on an army base, but it's all good. I had a lot of bitterness, resentment, anger. I couldn't wait to move out. Go ahead, Casey. When I was 18, I moved out. I didn't have my parents telling me what to do. I didn't have to take care of my brothers. I didn't have no curfew. I was out in them streets, and I was living it up. I was out there. I'm so grateful technology wasn't popping back then because there would be documentation of the shenanigans and the foolery that I embarked. I am so glad technology was not where it was. But you know what I didn't take out when I moved? I didn't take with me when I moved out was self-respect, self-worth. I didn't know how important I was. I didn't know how special I was, so I accepted so much that I shouldn't have. I went places I shouldn't have. I allowed people to do things to me that I shouldn't have. I didn't have that self-worth. It would be till I was 23 years old that I finally felt empty. You see that picture up there? I don't think you see it really good. Outfit, hair done, nails done, makeup, cheesing, right? But inside, I was broken. I was empty. I had nothing left. I gave it all to the world, and the world left me empty. One day, I just surrendered my all to God. I gave him my all. I wanted to live for him. I didn't know what that was going to be like. I didn't know what it entitled, but it had to be better than what I was already dealing with, you know? So I said, God, I give you my all. I started going to the church where my parents go, East 19th Street. I just started going to Bible study one Sunday after the preacher got done preaching. They opened up the door to the church at this church. They have chairs sitting here, so you can either become a candidate of baptism, you can join the church, or share a testimony. Here I am walking myself up there sitting in the chair. Girl, what are you doing? What are you about to say? See, what you don't know is I was teased my whole life for talking proper. I was told I talked like a white girl. So I was quiet. I didn't like talking in front of people because that's all I could think that they were thinking. So I didn't talk. I was silent. But up there that day, I had the microphone, I'm talking to people, and I'm like, what is this? I didn't realize it was God using me. Later that day, I went home, and I just said, God, I thank you. I thank you for this change. I thank you that you gave me peace in my spirit. My life ain't all together. Everything ain't perfect, but God, because you were with me, it's better. So I thank you, God. And as I'm doing my Bible study, I pick up this pen, and I just start to write. I'm writing. And then all of a sudden, I stopped writing. And I read what I wrote. And I could not believe the words that were on that paper. I wrote this. Me? It was so beautiful. It spoke to me. And I realized that day that God spoke to me twice. And he used me. And I felt his presence. And I wanted more of it. Go ahead, Casey. So I continued to just live right. I stopped going certain places, stopped dressing a certain way, stopped allowing certain things to come in my ears. I changed everything. Started going to church, being around my family more. I couldn't wait to get away from them when I was 18. Now I couldn't be around them enough, you know? I needed them. Another thing I did when I moved out was I was very irresponsible. I wasn't smart with my money. I let things go bad on my credit. It was bad. I knew that I wanted more, but I knew that I needed help. So I asked my parents if I could move back in with them, clean up my credit, and save because I wanted a house built from the ground up. And they let me. At 26, I moved back home. At 27, I closed on my first home. Amen. Yeah, it was great. I was on that independent woman stuff, you know? I wanted to have a house. I wanted to be in school. And I wanted a car. Not just any car. Because I told you my credit was messed up, so I had to settle for the things that my credit could give me. But at this time, I was like, no, I'm going to go to this lot. I'm going to tell them what I want. And you're going to make it happen. And guess what? They did. Got me a Ford Edge. So I had the house, the car, back in school. But guess what? I was still empty. Go ahead, Casey. I realized I had this whole house to myself and no family to share it with. So I started to pray and ask God, God, I think I'm ready again to love again. So if it's your will, Lord, I'm ready. A lot of people don't know, but me and Jeremy were friends before we were married. I met him when he moved down here from Tyler, Texas. He went to culinary school here in Austin. And one of our old church members, she brought him to church with him. We hung out a few times, and one day he was like, Antoinette, you are very special. I think you're so special. But there's a girl in Tyler that I really like too, and I want to see how things work with us. I I respected him because he was open and honest with me. I helped him buy a bus ticket. I drove him to Greyhound. I said, go get your We were friends. We stayed friends all this time. He would check on me, call me, how are you doing? He'd see me at church, come give me a hug. I had my housewarming party, and he came, brought his new fiance. I was expecting an invitation to that wedding, but it never happened. One day he was driving back home from Huntsville, Texas, and he said, me and Jalen are coming, and we're going to pass through your neighborhood. Do you mind if we stop by? Sure, come on. I'm not doing anything. It wouldn't be till years later that he told me if I answered that phone and said yes, he could come. God told him I would be his wife. What I love about Jeremy was he loved me and accepted me for who I was. I didn't feel judged. I loved him because he was broken too, and he had a past. So I didn't feel like I was an outcast. I felt we both were on that same journey of trying to get closer to God and rebuilding and restoring things in our lives. So it just felt perfect. But I was naive because I didn't realize that he would be bringing his past into our marriage. And it would be that past that would keep me from fully submitting to my husband and letting him lead our life like God entitled him to lead. I couldn't let that control. I couldn't let him have it. It wouldn't be until 2 years ago, y'all, that I finally submitted to my husband. And we've been married almost 13 years. December 2020, we were deciding we were ready to move out of Elm Creek. I said, okay, August will be the perfect time. It'll give us time. It's just December now. August gives us plenty of time, Jeremy, and then we'll get ready to start moving. And he said, okay. Later that day, he went golfing, and he was golfing with a realtor buddy. Guess what that realtor buddy said? Now's the time to sell. The market is hot. Now the time to buy is hot. Yeah, I hear you, but Antoinette said we're going to wait till August. Yeah, but no. At least fill out an application to see what you qualify for. So he goes home later that day. He's telling me about golfing and how he talked to John, his realtor buddy. Babe, now's the time. Yeah, Jeremy, but I told you we're going to do it in August. Yeah, I know, but he said it's hot. I hear you. Well, at least let's fill out the application. I gave him your email. Okay, Jeremy. I'll let you know when I do it. I dragged my feet for 2 months before I filled out that application. Every week he'd be like, hey, babe, you fill out that application? I said, I'll let you know when I do it. More weeks passed by. Hey, babe, we get that application in? I'll let you know when I do it. God had to sit me down. Girl, what's your problem? I know you're scared. I know you lived around your whole life and you finally have roots here and you're settled. But don't be scared. Everything that I could do for you, I did here already. I can't do nothing else with you here. I got to move you because I got to do more with you. But you got to trust me. You got to trust the man I gave you. You got to trust that I got you. Okay, God. Okay, God. I trust you. I trust the man you gave me. And I know you won't leave me or forsake me, God. I trust you. I filled out the application. We got approved. This happened in February. February, the application was filled. April 15th, we were moving, and we were already living here in Page in the country, 5.35 acres. No HOA, no neighbors, just us. It was so beautiful. Our first weekend in our home, though, tragedy struck our family. We were out and about. Tractor Supply to get my chickens, because I'm in the country now, right? I get some chickens. Home Depot, because we needed stuff for the home. And while we're going through Home Depot, I'm looking on my phone, and it says, active shooter in the Arboretum. Oh, I don't know, thinking anything of it. Kept going through Home Depot shopping, and all of a sudden, my old neighbor Stephanie calls me and says, Antoinette, did you hear about that active shooter? Yeah, I heard. I think it's Alyssa's dad, but I can't get a hold of Alyssa. Can you try to call Willie? Sure. I tried to call Willie. No answer. Tried to call Willie again. No answer. called Big Willie. I said, hey, have you heard Willie? From Willie, because I heard that there's an active shooter. I think it might be Alyssa's dad, and I can't get a hold of Willie. And he says, are you serious? He's with her today. And he hangs up the phone. Tried to call Willie again. Nothing. My son was at work. I called him. I said, Jalen, I need you to call to see if you can get a hold of Willie. Because maybe Willie, he's like my son. He's my cousin. He's all of that. And he'd know I'd get on him. So maybe he thought he was in trouble, so he was ignoring me. Jalen, you try to call Willie. Okay, Mama, I'll do it on my break. I don't think you understand. I need you to do it right now. He called. No answer. It wouldn't be for about another hour that we found out it was actually Willie that was one of the victims in the Arboretum. I had to call my son back to tell him that his best friend died. That was the hardest time to parent a child that's grieving, especially when they're on the brink of so much important things. This is April. He still had to graduate. He was about to swear into the Navy. Go ahead, 2 more slides. One more slide, Ben. There's Willie, y'all. But my son was depressed. He didn't want to do anything. He didn't want to report to school. He didn't want to do schoolwork. He didn't want to get up. And I had to force him. I said, you got to get up. You got to finish. You got to do this, Jalen. You can't lay here. You can't. The day before he graduated, he swore in. There's his graduation. And that was him graduating Navy boot camp. We did it. But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. But the beauty of this story is, Big Willie was speaking to Jalen and all of Willie's peers, and I was sitting there listening, and he said, don't let Willie's death be in vain. Do what you can while you can. Go be great. He spoke to me, because I was in a place where I was all over the place. I just finally submitted to my husband. I was trying to fix everybody, correct everybody. I could see all the faults in y'all, but I didn't have any faults. And so I said, God, help me to stop looking at people and trying to fix people. Help me fix myself. Help me be a better person. Help me be what I need to be, God, for you. And ever since then, my eyes have been opened. He has shown me great things. I get so much peace and clarity in my garden. Moving out to the country was the best thing that God could have ever done for us. So I stand here today, able to encourage people. Look, if you see me, why is she so happy? Why is she always cheerful? Because guess what? I spent most of my life beating myself up. Now it's about time I say, hey, I can do this. I got this. You got this. We got this. You know? This is my story. Go ahead, Casey. This is my story. And as crazy as it sounds, I wouldn't change anything about it. Because that would change who I am. I'm strong. I'm resilient. I'm responsible. I'm amazing. I'm wonderfully and fearfully made. I know these things to be true. And it's nothing because God loved me. Yeah. God helped me. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world would be saved through him. And I got saved through God. And my life could not be better. And I thank God for my life. And I thank y'all for your time. Thank you.